Yeah, anytime. Let's talk Glass Onion, though, man.
Sure.
This one was absolute blast.
Anytime.
I loved it.
Good.
My first thought while watching it was, how's he going to top the first one? Which everybody loved the first one. Was that a lot of pressure for you, knowing that so many people like that first one, to come up with something that was going to be bigger and I think even more fun?
That's cool to hear. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it was. I mean, I started writing this one, whereas the first one I had the idea for like 10 years. So I'd had a lot of time to think about it. With this, I started from scratch, and I started after the first one had come out. And there's a thing. I mean, this is a very good problem to have, but like because people dug the first one and it did well, there's a thing that happens where it kind of it turns from something that you remember like having working on and putting together into this weird gilded object outside of you that you kind of forget how you made it.
Yeah.
So all to say, yeah, it was kind of, it's always kind of scary facing the blank page, but this was a little particularly stressful.
See, for me, when I think about the writing process, and I'm like most people, I've attempted to write scripts before in the past. The thing that always mystery seems like a particularly challenging thing. Like there's so many things that you want to weave in and betray here and tease here. Mysteries to me seem like the hardest thing to write.
Well, I mean, part of the approach to these movies, to Knives Out and to Glass Onion, is to kind of start out not thinking about the mystery element of them. Started thinking of them just as a movie.
Right.
And I like the phrase I've used a few times is they're roller coaster rides, not crossword puzzles.
Interesting.
And so focusing first and foremost on what is the dramatic spine of the movie, who are people going to care about in it, what is the emotional journey they're going to go on, how is it going to be satisfying at the end, not in a, oh my God, I never could have guessed that, but in the way that any good story is satisfying, where it's emotionally satisfying and the ending feels good.
Yeah. You kind of subvert all that stuff at a certain point in the movie.
Well, I mean, but the subversion is always in the interest of landing the payoff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Anytime, I think anytime subversion comes into play, it's hopefully to further engage the audience as opposed to throwing them off of it.
Yeah.
And to kind of shake things up in terms of the way they think the game is usually played, but all with the intent of having them then lean in and get even more out of the ending, which inevitably with the last one, and this isn't really a spoiler, with this one, it is kind of like a satisfying whodunit payoff at the end of it, and in that way it's very traditional, even if we kind of keep people on their toes throughout it using subversion or whatever you want to call it. Yeah.
Was there ever any thought to keeping around the cast of the first movie, or did you always plan on just bringing over Benoit Blanc and starting with a fresh new group? Because so many people love those first characters. You probably could have told a different story with them. Was there ever any thought to that?
I mean, it was painful because I love those actors so much. I would have loved nothing more to hang out with Jamie Lee Curtis,
Right.
But no. The idea in my head was always, when we made the first one, we didn't know if anyone was gonna watch it. We didn't know if we were gonna be able to make more of them. But
right.
I had in the back of my head, like, well, if this does all right and we can keep doing these, this is what it's going to be. It's going to be like a new Agatha Christie novel every time. To me, that's what's interesting about it, is not the notion of carrying the same cast forward, but the notion of having it be a new group each time. Also a new setting, also a new vibe, also a new theme, a new set of stuff that it's interested in, and even a new tone. I want each one of these movies to really feel like it has its own identity, the way that Agatha Christie's books did.
Yeah, and this one in particular, you're introducing the pandemic as a part of the fabric of it, and we see how that sort of impacted Benoit. We learned a little bit more about him without, learning too much.
A light dusting of
Talk to me about
inner life.
Talk to me about deciding to make that a part of the backdrop of this movie, because you could have left it out, but it seems like it's something that's, while it's not like major, it's major for him.
Right. Well, and you want to kind of come at it hopefully with a light touch, because it's obviously a very serious topic, and this is not a tremendously serious movie. But a big part of the first Knives Out, and also this one, the motivation for making it was to do a whodunit in modern day America, and to just very blatantly engage with what's happening right now in the culture. Not in a messagey type way, but in a way that feels like, okay, these movies are set here and now. And I wrote the movie during lockdown. I wrote it in 2020 when we were all in our homes. And so there was a minute, it would have felt like writing a movie in a fantasy land if I had, it would have felt like kind of betraying that very initial motivation if I had completely ignored this massive event that enveloped all of our lives.
Right.
You know? So it wasn't. So it just seemed like a very natural thing to kind of start it on that, and then very quickly kind of get past it. And it's not a movie about the pandemic at all. But it would have felt weird not to have that be an element of it.
I love Kate Hudson's mask.
Oh my God!
That's all I'm going to say. Without giving anything else away, her mask is amazing.
In my pod.
Her mask is amazing. but little details like that, I think, are the thing that make this movie so much fun. It's little things like that are individual to each character and make them specific, and without having to do a whole lot of deep introspection on everybody and kind of stuff. You can kind of get a sense of who they are just by looking at them.
Broad strokes.
Yeah. But in relation to that, though, talk to me a little bit about about picking the people to play them. Did you write with specific actors in mind for some of these characters?
No, I try not to do that, because I've learned that inevitably if something happens schedule wise or something, you get your heart broken if you and also I just find it better to write characters kind of in a vacuum, so you're focusing on creating a character as opposed to writing what you perceive an actor is going to bring to it. And then once I get the script done, we just, with the exception of Daniel Craig, he's the one guy I knew was going to get it. But then once we get the script done, then our casting director, Mary Vernew, my producer and I sit down and have a chat with her. We talk about the characters, and then she figures out who's available and who wants to work right now. And then it's just a process of kind of going through and saying, oh my God, could we actually get that person? And sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. And, it's just a process. But I don't write with actors in mind. Yeah.
Talk to me about the production, because the island that the movie is set on I had to kind of describe it as like a Bond villain's playground.
I wrote that
so
in the
cool.
script. I wrote it's kind of like a Bond villain, and I wrote in parentheses, "Sorry, Daniel."
It's amazing. It just the thought process behind it. Just talk to me a little bit about coming up with this amazing location.
Well, it was. And this probably has something to do with me having written the script during lockdown. It was just like, where do I want to be right now?
Yeah.
Private island in Greece. That sounds nice. But Rick Heinrich, who's our production designer, who we worked with on The Last Jedi, he's incredibly great. He's a terrific artist, and he also can handle scale. Like this Miles Braun's compound on this island had to have an element of grandeur to it, but it also had to communicate the cheesiness of Miles. And Rick is incredibly skilled at using big tools in order to create, and a big palette to create a really specific kind of emotional character detail. And so Rick did an amazing job. We shot the location elements of it in Greece. We weren't actually on an island. That was kind of movie magic. We were on the mainland. But the complex that we shot in, it's this complex called Villa 20 that's kind of attached to the Amman resort in Greece. And it's this beautiful complex of villas that are all kind of like one thing. They're all kind of rented in a group, so they're all connected. It doesn't have the actual glass onion on it, but other than that, what you see there is kind of the place, and it was so it was fun. We could just be there and just point the camera at anything, and it kind of looked amazing.
Are you hoping that, I guess you're kind of building them into this, but it's been kind of like your modern day Hercule Poirot? Is that what you're hoping for? I mean, if you do 3, you know, are you hoping to do more beyond that and just kind of keep them going as long as possible?
I'll keep making these as long as Daniel and I are having a good time, and as long as people want to see them. And part of the reason for that for me is every one of the. It's not like turning the crank, you know, on the grinder and just kind of spinning another one out. We tried with it was important to me with this one that we plant a flag really distinctly that this is a very different movie than the first one, and that's what the third one will be also. And the notion of
Tell me about it.
Each one. Well, so we open on. Any ideas? I said that's what it will be. I don't know what it's going to be. I know it'll be different. But no, that's why I'm excited about the notion of making more of these. Is just every one of them. It's almost like I can explore a new genre with each one of these and a new tone. And also, I love actors. I love getting to work with actors, especially getting to meet actors who are heroes of mine and getting to kind of collaborate with them. The fact that with each one of these movies we get to assemble a world-class group of actors and I get to have a collaboration and experience with them. To me, it's just, I don't know, it's kind of like being at Disneyland or something. You know?
How does it feel to be credited with reinvigorating the genre, man? Like everybody's crediting you with that, like for making mysteries and whodunits really popular again.
Well, I think they were on the way up before. You know, I don't know. I feel like, look, I'm a whodunit junkie. I'm a whodunit. I love them. I'll watch all of them. So for me, seeing this recent resurgence of them is just makes me so joyful. Because I love the 4, but so seeing what I love Kenneth Branagh's Poirot, but also then you look at what like Chris Miller and Phil Lord did with the After Party, doing like a redundant thing in the series, and I don't know. I haven't gotten to see that new movie about the mousetrap that came out recently. The what was the title of it? The you remember what the title of that was? The whodunit about the theater production of the Mousetrap that just came out.
See How They Run.
Yeah, See How They Run.
That one's fun. Yeah, that one's fun.
I can't wait to see that.
That's fun too. Yeah.
I'm saying I love whodunit. So for me, I think I feel like I kind of caught a wave at exactly the right time. I could feel people kind of gravitating back to the forum. But as a junkie, I'm just happy there's more of them right now. Yeah.
Well, Ryan, this has been fantastic, man.
So cool, man.
I really appreciate you taking a few minutes to talk to me about Glass
Onion. It's a pleasure, man.
I wish the film all the success in the world. Thanks for checking out the show. If you like what we're laying down, please subscribe to our channel and click the bell to receive notifications for all of our latest stuff.